Hi there, music fans, and welcome to another one of my polls, another top 10. And today I'd like to give you my top 10 male solo singers. And yeah, I like so many singers, I thought it'd be impossible to narrow it down to 10, but I've just done just that. I've narrowed it down to just 10. As a lot of you know, I'm big into rock and roll, so a lot of some of my rock and roll heroes didn't even make my top 10, such as Jerry Lee Lewis, Little Richard, Eddie Cochran, Gene Vincent, Carl Perkins, there's loads of singers that didn't. Glenn Campbell, Jerry Reed, John Denver, Don McLean, Garth Brooks. There's just so many singers I just love. But I've narrowed it down to my favorite 10. So without further ado, here's my top 10 favorite male singers of all time. At number 10, I have Phil Collins. Absolutely love Phil Collins. I was lucky enough to go and see him, I think around 2008 or 2009. I'm not sure what year I seen him, but I did actually go and see him, and he was absolutely fantastic. Given, I mean, at the Cliff, I think he's probably gives probably the best quality of a show I've ever seen. Just song after song, just all big hits, and what a show and what a performer and what a songwriter. Absolutely love Phil Collins. So number 10 is Phil. Number 9 is probably going to be a shock, but not only do I like rock and roll, but I love singers and songs, and this singer was known as the singer's singer, and it's the wonderful Matt Monro, and I absolutely love Matt Monro. Yeah, I think the first song I ever heard was a cover that Cliff did of Softly As I Leave You, so I checked out the original, which I loved even more, and I bought his greatest hits, and I just fell in love with his voice. Just a fantastic singer. I love all the classics, Portrait of My Love, On Days Like These, his beautiful cover of Paul McCartney's Yesterday. Love Matt Monro, and he's at number 9. So number 8 is Billy Fury. Absolutely love Billy Fury. He'd have to feature in the top 10. I thought he'd actually be a little bit higher, but he's number 8. Yeah, I love his voice. Again, them ballads, just absolutely fantastic. Wondrous Place, Halfway to Paradise, Maybe Tomorrow, I'll Never Find Another You, Jealousy. I love all them big classics, but I think my favorite one is written by Cliff's producer. Norrie Paramore wrote this one for Billy. Once Upon a Dream. I absolutely love that song. And so number 8 is Billy Fury. At number 7, I have the first of 3 Beatles in my top 10, and it's George Harrison. Absolutely love George Harrison. This is probably my favorite George Harrison album. I know a lot of fans love All Things Must Pass and some of the 70s stuff, but I'm an 80s kid, and so this was the first album that I really loved of George Harrison, and yeah, just a fantastic album, and so George has to be number 7. I absolutely love George's career. I don't have a full collection of his albums. I'm getting there, but I am missing 1 or 2, which I'm hoping. But of all his albums, as I say, I think this is my favorite, Cloud 9. So at number 7, I have George Harrison. Now, as I said, I'm big into rock and roll, and there's a lot of Jerry Lee and Eddie and Gene and Carl, and they didn't make my top 10. But this one I could not leave out of my top 10, and it's the fantastic Chuck Berry. Absolutely love every track I think he's ever recorded. Love it. I think he's probably one of the best poets of all time. Yeah, absolutely fantastic guitarist, great singer, songwriter, guitarist. Love Chuck Berry. Anytime I'm in bad mood, I'd stick on Chuck Berry, and he instantly lifts you up into a good mood. Chuck Berry. Number 6. So number 5 is another singer I've seen a couple of times live before, and yeah, I absolutely love him. He's still rocking, and it's Rod Stewart. Absolutely love Rod Stewart, and yeah, I remember seeing a Robert Plant interview a few years ago, and he was asked who was the best rocker of all time, and he said, if you're going by the late 60s and early 70s, it was Rod Stewart, surprisingly. He actually said, Robert Plant said it was Rod Stewart. And if you listen to them late 60s tracks or the early 70s, the Every Picture Tells a Story album, some of the things he did with the faces, you can see why. It's just an absolutely fantastic voice. He still has the voice, and absolutely love Rod Stewart. Number 5. So my number 4 was always my number 3, but somebody's gone a little bit up in my book. I had to. I picked a lot of these. I picked this whole top 10 for the artists that I listen to most of all. So that's probably what decided on my top 10, and that's probably what decided that this artist goes down a notch and the other artist goes up a notch. But yeah, as I say, Ricky Nelson was always my third favorite singer, and he's still in my top 5. I absolutely love his voice, whether he's singing rock and roll or whether he's singing beautiful ballads. I love Ricky Nelson's voice, and so he's number 4. So that number 3 that went up is, I think, the best Beatle of them all, Paul McCartney. Absolutely love Paul McCartney, and I did actually go and see Paul McCartney once back in 2003 in the Back in the World tour, and it was absolutely fantastic. It's everything I dreamed it would be. I'm a big Beatles fan, and I'm a big Paul McCartney fan, and I've been listening to a lot of Paul McCartney in the last few years. Yeah, so he has to be number 3, Paul McCartney. So number 2 is the king of rock and roll himself, Elvis Presley, and I could not have him as number 2. Absolutely love Elvis. I'm kind of sick of hearing about the movie that's been out, the Austin Butler. I appreciate it was a good film. It was okay. I don't understand the hype of it. I want to get back to just enjoying the real king of rock and roll, Elvis, and I absolutely love Elvis, and yeah, so he's always been my number 2. It's no surprise to anybody. Number 2, Elvis Presley. So number 1, no surprise, is Cliff himself. Absolutely love Cliff, as everybody knows, and I think he'll always be my favorite singer. I've seen him over 100 times in concert, and I don't think anybody could even come close to him. And yeah, I'm going to see him again, which I'm really looking forward to, in November this year in Blackpool. Can't wait. And he'd be 65 years in the business then, so really can't wait to see him. And yeah, so that's my top 10. No surprise in number 1. So I'll give it them real quick again. Number 10 was Phil Collins. Number 9 was Matt Monro. Number 8 was Billy Fury. Number 7, George Harrison. Number 6, Chuck Berry. Number 5, Rod Stewart. Number 4, Ricky Nelson. Number 3, Paul McCartney. Number 2, Elvis. And number 1 is, of course, Cliff. And yeah, so that's just my personal choices. You mightn't agree, like everybody has different favorites, and I just thought it'd be fun just to give you my favorite singers of all time. Thank you, and bye.